is good, everybody? My Paper Moon fam. It's your boy, PaperSin, back with another reaction video. Now this one is called. Actually, let's talk about it first, because I was looking for some found footage. I wanted to watch some horror stuff. I'm in the mood, okay? And the first thing that pops up is this new video that popped up a day ago by MrBallen. It's called Found Footage Feels Decade-Long Mystery. Warning, graphic content. Now, obviously, the found footage, this video is not the type of video that I was actually looking for. I was obviously looking for like just some found footage, horror type YouTube made movie thing. But hey, we might as well go with this. I'm curious now. They got me. Like, what mystery? What decades-long mystery? And what? Okay, let's go. As always, link to this video and link to the channel will both be in the description below. So be sure to check them out. But let's get it started, shall we?
In 1969, an adventure magazine reporter named Milt Macklin flew to New Guinea with his film crew to shoot a documentary about a missing person who had gone missing in that area. Milt's hope was he was actually going to find this missing person and capture it on film, really pushing his documentary over the top. But despite shooting all this footage and looking all over the place, they never found the missing person.
That's why it's missing.
Milt ultimately went back home and just put all the footage in storage, never even watched it. Well, 40 years later, that footage got pulled out of storage because another crew wanted to make a documentary about this missing person, and when they watched this footage, they found something totally unbelievable.
40 years later?
And so today, I'm gonna tell you the story of what they found, and then more importantly, what it revealed about this missing person. And I will say right now, it is highly disturbing. But before we get into that story, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place, because that's all we do, and we upload once a week. So if that's of interest to you, please gift the like button the complete set of Where's Waldo books, but make sure you cut all the Waldos off of every page first. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads.
If we cut all the Waldos out the books, then it's gonna be like, where was Waldo? Now Waldo's missing. Missing person. I see what he did there. Smart. But 40 years? Hold on. So they saw something, or they didn't see something, or they walked past, didn't notice it. And for 40 years later, like, if the dude, let's say the dude was barely alive, and 40 years later passed by. Obviously, they were like, nope, nothing's here. All right, let's head back. Dude, yeah. Anyway, holy shit. Let's check this. Yeah, let's go.
Okay, let's get into today's story.
Yeah. Okay. Deadly revelation.
On the morning of Saturday, November 18th, 1961, a 23-year-old man named Michael Rockefeller reached down and grabbed the pull cord that was connected to the outboard motor that was on the boat that Michael was riding in.
Rockefeller man.
Michael, he pulled and pulled on that cord, but he could not get this engine to restart. It just sputtered and wouldn't turn over. And without power, that meant that Michael and his small crew just continued to drift farther and farther out to sea. But that wasn't even the worst of this situation. The boat that Michael and his crew were on, which was a 40-foot-long catamaran, it was two handcrafted canoes tied together, well, it was starting to sink. Minutes before, Michael and his crew had been happily traveling along the beautiful green jungled coast of New Guinea when they had to cross over this area where the water was particularly turbulent. There was this river in New Guinea that was feeding out to the Arafura Sea, which is where Michael and his crew were, and where this brown river met the blue water, it became very choppy with lots of rough waves. And so as Michael and his crew tried to cross that area, the waves came on board, they flooded the engine, it shut off, and then as more and more waves landed inside the boat began to sink. The reason why Michael and his crew were even out here and taking these chances to begin with is because Michael wanted to go see this tribe called the Asmats that lived in New Guinea, basically right past this area where this river was. They lived right on the coast.
Isn't there I'm not sure if it was this New Guinea place, But this is for some reason I'm reminded of an island with a tribe that kills anybody who comes near the island. I don't think it was the New Guinea one. Hold on. The North Sentinel Island. Okay. Or whatever. The Centalis are an uncontracted tribe living on North Sentinel Island, one of the Andaman Islands in the Indian Ocean. They vigorously reject all contact with outsiders. Yeah. They believe yeah. Okay, so I was thinking something else. All right, let's carry on.
Michael was obsessed with the artwork that the Asmat tribe created, in particular, the very unique bis pole. These poles are created by the master carvers within the Asmat tribe. What they do is they take a single piece of wood and they etch it away until it looks like it's a bunch of men standing on each other's shoulders.
Oh yeah,
now,
I've seen
these
that.
bis poles are totally beautiful and intricate and wonderful to look at, but the Asmat tribe doesn't make them for art. They make them because they believe they contain the souls of the warriors from their tribe who have been killed in combat.
Oh, shit.
And until the Asmats avenge these downed warriors, basically until the tribe kills their enemies, these souls remain trapped in these bis poles, which means the Asmats don't really ever get rid of these poles. They don't sell them. They don't throw them away. They are just part of their
Feels good to be black.
culture and society. But months ago, Michael had come and visited.
All right, let me stop. That was
an
inappropriate of me because wait, is that another hit on there? Yeah, that was inappropriate of me because it's supposed to be like, you know, respectful and it's supposed to be like they're down tribe members. So
months ago, Michael
Sorry.
had come and visited the Asmat tribe. He had learned about these bis poles and what they meant, and he believed he had successfully negotiated a deal where he would barter some of his own goods in order to get one of their bis poles. But even though Michael gave them all the things he had offered, they had not in return sent the bis pole. And so now Michael was coming back to hopefully be able to claim the bis pole and take it with him. But as Michael sat in his sinking catamaran, watching the muddy shores of New Guinea get farther and farther away as he drifted farther and farther out into the Arafura Sea, the last thing on his mind was the bis pole. He needed to figure out what they were going to do. Michael's crew consisted of 3 other people. There was a French anthropologist named Rene, and there were 2 teenagers who were actually Asmat guides, and their names were Simon and Leo. And so after Michael was unable to start the engine up, all 3 of them took their turn yanking on the cord, but they too could not get it to start. Finally, Simon and Leo spoke up, and they said to Michael and Rene that at this point they believed their only hope was abandoning the catamaran, jumping into the ocean, and swimming to shore, which for now was about a half-mile away, but they were drifting so quickly out to sea that if they waited any longer, they might be too far away to actually make that swim. But Rene was not a good swimmer at all, and Michael was just not ready to totally abandon ship and leave this thing out here to sink, because on board the catamaran was all this stuff he had brought along, like tobacco and fishing line and clothes and candy and all this different stuff that he knew this tribe wouldn't have, and he could use it as leverage to continue bartering to get his bis pole and to get other artwork they might be offering. And so even though Michael understood that obviously this catamaran and everything on it is going to sink into the ocean at some point, he just wasn't there mentally to jump off now and just kind of abandon all this stuff. And so
that is so dumb. That is so dumb. Hey guys, don't let your worldly attachments keep you from surviving. Like, holy shit. And one of them wasn't already a strong swimmer. The boat's drifting farther and farther away from the island. It started off, or it was at some point it was like a little over half a mile away, and it's still drifting away, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to go right now because I don't want to lose my stuff, even though the boat's sinking, and blah 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 blah, and but my stuff stuff that I could use as leverage to trade for a giant bisp pole thing. I don't even know if he knew that it had the souls of the fallen warriors comrades in there. If he did know, that's fucked up. To try and like barter for it. Obviously, like if they had actually avenged the souls, then I don't think they actually need it, but they probably would just burned it or got rid of it or something. But we're gonna go with he didn't know. But still, to want to hold on to your stuff and risk your life for it, that's so dumb. That is so, oh my God, it's not worth it. It is not worth it. Don't be stupid, people, okay?
So a decision was made that the two asthmat guides, the two teenagers, Simon and Leo, they, on their own, would jump out, swim to shore, and try to get help, while Michael and Renee stayed back and waited for that help to come.
Oh my God,
so a few moments later, the two teenagers jumped into the water and began their long swim to shore, and as they did, Michael watched, and it suddenly dawned on him just how far away he was from his own home. It had been months since Michael had last showered, so he smelled terrible. He was totally sunburned and caked in dirt, and his hands were rough and calloused from all the rowing he was doing. But this was not really Michael's real life, because Michael was not from New Guinea or from anywhere near here. He was actually from America, where his family was one of the most well-known, influential, and richest families ever. Like in the history of humanity, the Rockefeller family are in like the top 10 of the most powerful people ever. Michael's grandfather was the oil tycoon John D. Rockefeller, who at the time was literally the richest man in the world, and Michael's father, Nelson Rockefeller, was at the time the governor of New York and the future vice president of the United States.
I guess that also kind of makes sense of why, the guy just didn't want to lose his stuff. He was so attached to it. But like, because I guess he's so used to like just getting everything. He might have been so used to getting everything he wanted when he wanted it that he just couldn't take no for an answer. So he brought all that extra stuff to try to barter for the pole, and that's really why he didn't want to let it go, I guess. But like, with all that money, he could have also just came back at some point to try and do it again. But whatever.
But despite having these unbelievable resources at his disposal, Michael was not compelled to kind of be a Rockefeller. Instead, he found his calling in the wilds of New Guinea. He had first come here 7 months earlier with a team of Harvard University filmmakers who were looking to document a very remote tribe.
Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not.
Michael just fell in love with the adventure of this trip, even though on this trip, while they were filming a battle between this remote tribe and another tribe, Michael got shot accidentally in the shoulder with an arrow. So despite being wounded effectively in combat, Michael just loved being in New Guinea. In fact,
sure it was an
Michael
accident?
actually never told his family about getting shot in the shoulder with this arrow because he was worried if he told his family, the all-powerful Rockefeller family, they would respond by seeking out retribution against one of these tribes that had inadvertently harmed Michael Rockefeller. And so Michael was just very respectful and protective of the people he came in contact with in New Guinea, and in many ways he viewed them as more like his people than his family.
Fair enough. Okay, maybe I was wrong about him. Man, okay, my bad, Michael. My bad, Mike. Hey, yo, homie cheating though, right here. He was like, yeah, what's up? Right.
And so after the Harvard University filmmakers wrapped up their documentary and went back to America, Michael had stayed in New Guinea. And in the meantime, his father, Nelson Rockefeller, had opened up a museum back home in New York called the Museum of Primitive Art, and what it displayed was artwork from places like New Guinea. Now, this was the early 1960s, and so many Westerners viewed natives of New Guinea, like the people of the Asmat tribe, as being very primitive and backwards. And so as a result, there was a lot of people that were drawn to this new museum in New York just for the spectacle of it, to see what these primitive backwards people were creating. But Michael felt like he had a deeper understanding of the natives of New Guinea, and he felt like it was his responsibility to go out and find the incredible artwork all around New Guinea, including like the Bispoles from the Asmat tribe, and send that artwork back to his father to be put up in this museum so that it was more than just a spectacle. Michael wanted the people of the West to appreciate and respect the natives of New Guinea the same way he did.
Okay.
And he believed through art he could do that.
Shout out
and so
to
Michael
Mike.
had teamed up with Rene, the French anthropologist, to go all around New Guinea to find this artwork to send back to his dad. A few hours after Simon and Leo had leapt off the sinking catamaran and began their swim to shore, Michael and Rene had no idea if they'd even made it to shore. They hadn't seen anybody show up to rescue them, and so as far as they knew, they had no idea how close they were to being rescued or not. And as they looked down, they saw their catamaran was sinking lower and lower in the water. And so at some point, Michael and Rene just grabbed buckets and began bailing the water out of the catamaran, which was totally useless. The water was coming in way too quickly, but they had nothing else to do, and so they're bailing the water out. And then a rogue wave comes through and flips the entire catamaran over, sending Michael and Rene into the sea.
Could they not have been doing that before? Just grabbing the buckets, like as soon as the water started coming in, grab the buckets and get the water out? I'm sure they probably tried, but I don't know, man. If it was coming in that fast the entire time, that sucks.
And so luckily, Michael and Rene were able to swim to the surface. They swam over to the now upturned catamaran, but there was an air pocket kind of trapped underneath it, and so it was staying afloat. And so Michael and Rene grabbed onto the catamaran, and Michael actually grabbed a gas canister that had come off the boat, and he attached it to his belt like a flotation device. And so he and Rene just kind of held on to this upturned catamaran. Michael was also supported by this gas canister, and they just continued to wait, hoping that Simon and Leo had made it to shore and that help would be arriving soon. But in the back of Michael's mind, he knew that if help didn't come soon, Michael might have to do something drastic, like attempt the swim himself, which now was way farther than half a mile away. By the next morning, when the sun came up, Michael and Rene were still in the water, holding on to that catamaran, waiting for help to arrive, but no help had come. Now, Michael was a very good swimmer, but by this point, he knew they were at least 5 or maybe even 10 miles from shore. So this would be a gargantuan swim in pretty rough waters. But, Michael, he's...
From half a mile to 10 miles. Why didn't they just jump off to begin? I know, I think it was the Rene person. Not a very good swimmer. But y'all could have figured something out before it got that far away, right?
So Rockefeller, he had a lot of confidence, and he began telling Rene that, hey, I'm going to do this swim. I know I can do it. I can swim the whole distance. Even if it's 10 miles, I can do it. You know, you're going to have to just hang tight. It's going to take a while, but I'll get us help. Rene begged Michael not to go, but Michael said, I have to do something. Otherwise, we're going to die out here. And so all Rene could do was watch as Michael stripped off some of his clothes and attached another gas canister to his belt to give him a little bit more flotation. And then Michael shook Rene's hand. And then right around 8 a.m. on Sunday, November 19th, 1961, Michael began the swim. About 12 hours later, so that night, while Rene is still just holding onto this catamaran, hoping help is going to come soon, suddenly, kind of without warning, the sky suddenly erupted with this incredibly bright flame. And what it was a plane flying overhead that had spotted Rene and the upturned catamaran. They had fired a flare into the air to be like, hey, we see you, we're going to send help. And then just a couple of hours later, a boat came around and picked Rene up. And when Rene climbed on board, he was so relieved, and he asked the captain, hey, did Michael Rockefeller tell you I was out here? Is that why you knew I was here? And the captain said, no, we were told by 2 teenagers, 2 guides, Simon and Leo, that you were out here. No one's heard from Michael. Now, you need to remember that Michael Rockefeller was a Rockefeller. And so as soon as Rene heard, oh my goodness, we don't know where Michael is, and he told the captain that Michael had begun this unbelievably long swim to shore to get help, it was like suddenly a bomb had gone off in the Rockefeller family, and they committed all of their money and their resources and their influence to launch the biggest manhunt basically ever to find Michael. They dispatched ships and helicopters and planes. They got in touch with the US Navy and got them to be fully involved. I mean, they looked everywhere for weeks, but they could not find Michael. This search for Michael would continue for years. Now, it wouldn't be as intense as the first few weeks, but there was always somebody or some entity looking for Michael around the area where he had begun that swim. But by 1964, so 3 years after Michael had begun the swim to shore, the Rockefeller family finally accepted that Michael had to be dead, that he had to have drowned on that 5 or 10 mile swim to shore.
There's a canister, right? Yeah. So he lost his gas canister somewhere along the way. Obviously he didn't, well, yeah, he probably didn't make it back to the place. God damn, bro. Yeah, I know this stuff. Feeling sick. Sorry, not sorry. But holy shit. All right, let's go a few more minutes and then.
For the last 60 years, I've been a hardcore whale mail enthusiast. Every morning I wake up and I break out my quill and parchment and I draft up the various messages I need to send to my team. And then after slapping those in my backpack, I dive into the ocean and I swim out until I encounter a whale, and then I jump on its back and I spend 45 minutes wrestling with it until I've secured my packages to its hefty trunk, and then I leap off that beast, wish it good luck, swim to shore, and wait for my mail to get delivered. But despite how glorious this shipping system sounds, unfortunately, in the past 6 decades, not one whale has understood it was my courier, and so as a result, all of my mail has gone undelivered. So, after 60 years, I finally decided to give up on whale mail and join the future and entrust all of my shipping needs to Stamps.com. For 25 years, Stamps.com has been helping businesses save time and money. With Stamps.com, all you need is a computer and a printer. They even send you a free scale, so you'll have everything you need to get started. Stamps.com automatically tells you your cheapest and fastest shipping options. Also, you get access to all the USPS and UPS services that you need right from your computer anytime, day or night, no lines, no traffic, no waiting. So even though I know whale mail has a place in all of our hearts, it's time to free Willy and join Stamps.com. Set your business up for success when you get started with Stamps.com today. Sign up at Stamps.com/MrBallen for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, plus free postage, and a free digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com/MrBallen.
How could you not, right? You gotta go to Stamps.com/MrBallen. Check it out.
And when the family finally kind of accepted that that is what happened, that became the story in America about what happened to Michael Rockefeller. In fact, his sister even wrote a best-selling book about grieving his loss. But in New Guinea, a very different story began to spread about what happened to Michael. Rumors about his fate were whispered along trade routes and between visiting missionaries and gossiped about in tabloid and adventure magazines. In 1969, so 5 years after Michael was declared dead by his family, an adventure magazine reporter named Milt Macklin heard from this mysterious Australian person who was a source for this magazine that they had actually run into Michael Rockefeller recently in the jungle of New Guinea, not far from where he supposedly disappeared. And Milt would actually follow up on this tip, despite how not credible it was, and he would go to New Guinea with a film crew, and he would go to this area, and he would look everywhere for Michael, he would talk to locals. I mean, he really scoured the area, but there was no sign of Michael. And so Milt, feeling very let down by this, he came back home and he actually wrote a best-selling book about his quest to find Michael Rockefeller. But crucially, even though he had shot all this footage, both at a distance and up close, of all these tribes in the area where Michael supposedly was, he and his team never really reviewed the footage. They basically shot all this footage
so this guy,
looking for Michael, couldn't find him, and said, meh, and put the footage aside. But 40 years later, another documentary film crew decided they were going to go to New Guinea and look for Michael, because there were still all these rumors floating around
40 years later
that Michael was alive and living in the jungles of New Guinea. And before they actually went to New Guinea to go looking for Michael, they uncovered this unwatched footage from Milt Macklin, and they watched all of it, and they discovered something unbelievable. Amongst the hours and hours of footage, there is this brief shot taken from a distance where the film crew was shooting on land out towards the water, and you see this canoe come into frame. And it's full of Asmat tribe warriors. This is a war party, and they're making their way, presumably, into battle with some other tribe. But amongst these big, strong men is one man who totally stands out because he doesn't look like the other Asmat warriors.
Yo, I want to give a shout out to MrBallen, because basically he could have been like among these big, strong black men, because you know the tribe was they're black. There was one warrior who was white. Didn't look like the rest of the warriors.
He is a naked, bearded white man who, again,
even
though the quality of the film was poor, he totally looked like Michael Rockefeller. And so as soon as word got out about this footage, very quickly rumors began to spread all around the world about how this heir to a billionaire's fortune had decided to turn away from his family
and tell anyone shit
amongst the Asmat tribe as one of theirs. Now, again, we have no idea if that really was Michael Rockefeller. It could easily have been, you know, a missionary or some other white person that happened to be in New Guinea, but the story was incredible, and so it spread everywhere. In 2012, so 4 years after this unwatched Milt Macklin footage came to light, and over 50 years since Michael Rockefeller actually went missing, a National Geographic journalist named Carl Hoffman, who had grown up totally fascinated by the mystery surrounding Michael Rockefeller, he decided that he would go to New Guinea and finally get to the bottom of what happened to Michael Rockefeller.
What do you think happened to Michael Rockefeller? Because that's crazy. I was first off, let me admit, I was completely wrong about what my expectations of Michael Rockefeller. Like, I was like, you didn't want to leave your stuff because you wanted to try and trade it for one of their poles that they use for their they used to house the souls of their fallen warriors. Like I was like, what? Anyway, but so I was completely wrong about him, and I'm glad I was, because wow, let's say he did stay. You know what I'm saying? Let's say that was him. Excuse me. Let's say that was him. Like, dude, just say, you know what? Oh, y'all said y'all said you sent for help. You heard word from them. They found her or him. The other person that's on the boat, the not very strong swimmer. They found him. Okay, good. All right, good. Am I gonna go back? Shh, don't tell him I'm here. Nah, man, don't tell him. I'm chilling. I like it here. You guys feel like home. You know what I'm saying? What's good? What we eating for breakfast? What we eating for lunch? What's good for dinner? You know what I'm saying? How can I help? I'm just settled right in, and like, you know, just became part of the tribe. Let's say that is what happened. Shout out to him. You know what I'm saying? I completely was wrong about him. But if it wasn't him, who else could it have been? You know what I'm saying? The only white guy that in the fucking entire place, like, or not entire place, but on the canoe and everything, and just like a missionary, really? I don't know about a missionary, to be honest. You feel me? Maybe. I mean, it even looked like him. So the film crew probably caught him on camera, and was like, nah. I don't see him. They didn't even bother looking at the footage though, because so that's, I don't know, bruh. That's a huge oversight. You know what I'm saying? And I even see it when you're filming, while you're filming it. That's crazy. But let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you think happened to Michael? Did he, you know, join the tribe and turn his back to the billions of dollars that was waiting for him back in the States, back home? Or, you know, maybe that was somebody else, and maybe something else happened to him. They never found him. I don't know. But obviously there's still more to this video. We're only 18 minutes in. It's a 30-minute video. So I'm gonna go watch the rest of it. You do what you do. If you want to watch the rest of it, as always, link to this video and link to this channel will both be in the description below. So be sure to visit MrBallen on YouTube. And while you're there, don't forget to do those 3 things I like to actually do. And like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell for more videos. Yeah. And you know what it is after that. In case I don't see you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Peace. Much love to you.